Baseball, the monthly live taping here in the John Paul Cook Club on the campus of SIU. With Coach Cindy Stein, I'm Bryce Williams. The final regular season week coming up this weekend for the Salukis. SIU, a 6-game winning streak. They are 19-9 overall, 12-4 in the Missouri Valley Conference, second place in the league heading into the final weekend. They took down Illinois State 68-55. Took down Indiana State 62-58 on Sunday last week. Coach, welcome. You took care of business on the road. At times, the games were difficult, but each game you found a way to win.
Well, as we've talked about with our team, I think that at this kind of stretch, every game is going to be really difficult. I mean, you don't expect to have easy games, and you just got to be prepared for anything because everybody's going to throw everything at you. And I felt like our kids handled a lot of different adversity, whether it's sometimes shots not dropping, defensive rotations not being correct, to not playing maybe up to what they wanted to, and having the pressure to win as well. I felt like we got through a lot of that, and we came out on top. And sometimes you just find a way to win is a good sign of a team.
And you're finding a way to win in different ways. A couple games ago, it was a scoring contest. Who would score the most points with Missouri State? You've won grinded out games. You've won tough games on the road. That means you're a good team because good teams do that.
Well, and I would agree with that. I feel like our depth has been very strong as well. We always have somebody coming off the bench playing well and hitting a key shot, whether they played a minute, 30 seconds to, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And so that's extremely helpful. And I think our kids have had great attitudes. Our team chemistry is really good. So even if some kid gets a little down, you always have people trying to step up and help them. And I feel like those kind of intangibles of your team chemistry and how they can communicate and just keeping the morale of the team strong, that's what's been really helping us in this stretch.
SIU 19-9, they're 12-4 in Missouri Valley Conference play. The 2 games on the road last weekend, you win at Illinois State by 13, you win at Indiana State by 4. Your most experienced players, Cartasia Macklin, Rashonda Napier, Diana Pierre, they're making huge plays down the stretch.
Yeah, they finally started making plays when we needed them. That was nice for them to show up for the game. But, those kids, they play hard. They have a lot of people double teaming them, trapping them, doing things to get the ball out of their hands. I feel like, they come around when you need them. Not that they haven't tried to do that before, but sometimes it's just kind of overcoming. It's trying to get in their head right. I think they put a lot of pressures on themselves that sometimes keeps them, it handicaps them at times. But they do come up and step up. And we've had some dramatic plays from all of them. Every senior on this squad has definitely stepped up and helped us in some way that has helped us win a ball game.
Nice crowd on hand today at the John Paul Cook Club. This program will air a little bit later on, 6:30 to 7 o'clock tonight on VZA. 19 wins, 9 losses, final weekend of the regular season. Northern Iowa and Drake, we'll talk about those games coming up shortly, but it's also Senior Day. Asia Washington, Blair Stevenson, Diana Pierre, Cartasia Macklin will play their final game at the arena on Saturday, and those are 4 young ladies that have meant a ton to this program.
Oh, those young ladies have been huge, and I think what's really neat about that is just the fact that we can pretty much tell them too it's not going to be obviously your last game, and it may not be their last game at home. You never know, depending on how the tournaments play out at postseason. So there's not that pressure. I like that, and we will honor them after the game because obviously we got 2 big games this week, and we want to make sure that we do a special job of honoring them for all their things that they've brought to our community, our university, and obviously our women's basketball program. So, but yeah, you can't say enough, and probably the best thing you can say about them is that they're just really cool people. I mean, they're just really neat. They make you laugh, and they've got very unique personalities, and they're really special kids.
They started their careers 5 wins and 5 wins, and then last year they had a much better year with 17. You have 19. To them, what do you think 20 wins means?
Well, I think that everybody knows that, you want to get 20-plus wins. So, these guys watch a lot of basketball, so you don't have to tell them what that number means and the significance of that. And I think that they're really playing strong to try to make that happen.
With a win on Thursday, Southern would be one of 27 programs in the country to have both their men's and their women's teams with 20 wins. So that's cool. I mean, from where you guys started, you, Coach Henson, when you got here 3 years ago, was this the perfect scenario to be playing for a championship in year 3?
Well, obviously, we would prefer to have a better first season than 5 wins. But yeah, I think that we're on that kind of stretch. We feel like our program's been making huge developments, and I think that it was significant for us to also have to come into a program that had such a very good, excellent men's program in the history. And Coach Henson being here was a huge impact for me looking to come here because that if they pay a lot of attention to basketball, they're going to have the right people in that place. And then, it's very similar with the women's program as well. And this is a basketball school, and that's huge for our kids. And I know they're very, very grateful for all of that and just the impact that both of our programs can have. And we're very supportive of one another. I just think that means just even more. It's something else that you look back at your college years and you just think that's significant.
Heading into the final weekend, Northern Iowa 13-3, Drake, Missouri State, SIU 12-4. You win both games after 9 million tiebreakers. You win the conference championship and get a number 1 seed, and that will be important in Missouri Valley Conference tournament play.
Well, one game at a time. Everyone keeps saying, yeah, you win. We've got to just concentrate on, we got to defend Northern Iowa. They run a million sets and all these options, and then we've got to make sure that they have to defend us well. And so we just got to concentrate on that. It's like where everything ends up at the end, that's what's meant to be. And we can't focus on the outcome. We're just going to have to focus on just the process of what we need to get done to win the game.
That's Coach Cindy Stein. Coming up, sophomore Kylie Gablehausen, SIU 19-9, 12-4 in Missouri Valley Conference play. Northern Iowa and Drake will come to the SIU Arena Thursday and Saturday for the final 2 regular season games. Kylie Gablehausen coming up next from the John Paul Cook Club on the campus of SIU. This is Saluki Basketball from Learfield.
What I'm doing is have him also mention the game. Gotcha.
Welcome back to Inside Saluki Women's Basketball with Coach Cindy Stein. I'm Bryce Williams. Questions, we already have several for Coach Stein. Again, you can ask those. There are pieces of paper on each table and pins, and we'll talk to Coach Stein about those coming up. Southern Illinois 19-9. They are 12-4 in Missouri Valley Conference play with 6'1" sophomore guard, Kylie Gablehausen from East Peoria. I did a little bit of research this morning. The most wins you've ever had in your career, high school, grade school, and now college, is 19. So this is the best team you've ever played on in your entire life.
Yeah, I think a 20-win season would mean a lot to me, not only just the seniors, but that's what I thought about coming into this. I don't really go back to high school because I've had such a successful career here, but yeah, I've never had a 19 wins or a 20-win season, and I've never gone very far in postseason play, so it'll mean a lot to get far this year.
You started in 55 of 56 games since you've been here at SIU. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Adopted at birth, adopted by a basketball family. Is it sports all the time?
Not in my family. It's more academics first. It's more follow what you want to do first and put effort into that. But we all three of my siblings, me, my brothers, we all picked up sports, and we all had talents in different sports. My younger brother likes running. I like basketball. My older brother liked basketball, but he wasn't the greatest at it. But he's more academic, and we put our heart and we put our effort into the sports we like to do. And my cousins were kind of influences, and my uncle is kind of a role model. They both played basketball. Both of my cousins played college basketball. My uncle has coached college basketball his life. So I grew up around games. I grew up going to Division I games. I remember going to tournament games in San Antonio. I remember used to be wearing a little cheerleading outfits for my uncle's teams when he was at Utah. But yeah, basketball runs in the family, and I was kind of a little in the shadow of my cousin because she was very talented and heavily recruited. And now that I've been showing how well my talent and my skills are in college, it's nice to get recognition not only from my family, but my uncle sees it too, and it's nice to shine like for me.
Your uncle is Ray Giacoletti from Drake. He's the Drake men's basketball coach. He's been all over the country, spent a lot of time at Gonzaga building that program up. He's important to you, isn't he? And what he thinks about your game is important to you.
Yeah, and he's been the one that's congratulated me a lot this year on wins, on, just doing well personally in the season. And, it means a lot coming from him, coming from a coach, and just from somebody near who might not have realized how talented I maybe was growing up, and at this level I'm playing at, how well I've been doing. So it's nice to hear from him.
Your parents travel all over the country. They don't miss a game if they can. Lori and Jeff, your family life, including the dogs, because they're important too. It's really important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, my dogs, they have slept with me since I was in 6th grade, and I am obsessed with dogs in general, and they mean a lot to me, but, they kind of feel left out when my parents leave. Now they're empty nested, so they know when they leave, and they don't want to be left behind. But it's important for me for my parents to be there, and as much as I say I don't really like looking in the crowd and my mom always having a camera out and on me, but I know that's something that will mean a lot to me later in life, and I won't forget. And so I really like being able to look in the crowd and see them both there, and to be able to accomplish all this with them watching. And my mom also loves being around me and all of my teammates. They're like more daughters for her.
Let's talk about your game on the floor. You energize this team in a different way, a very unique way. You have 38 blocks this year. That's tied for 6th most in a single season in school history. 68 blocks in your career. That's 8th most in school history. Some of these blocks are unreal. I mean, you're sending the ball 3 and 4 rows deep, and you had another big one at Indiana State, but you've used that to energize your team.
Yeah, a big block is definitely something that brings a lot of energy. I really don't know why some teams shoot it when I'm that close, because it's happened to 5 different teams, and it's full on, my palm is on the ball. So, I mean, I like it, but yeah, definitely a boost of energy, because I might be struggling offensively, I might be struggling defensively, and to be able to get a stop like that or just a block on a play, I think it brings energy to the team.
This season down the stretch, conference championship, really important to you and your teammates, and you kind of control your own destiny, and that's a good place to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just have to take it one game at a time. I think this season, these next 2 games are definitely for the seniors. We want to give them a championship, a conference championship, a 20-win season, and finish off strong on their senior night. And I think it's special doing it against 2 of the toughest teams in our conference, and doing it on our senior night, our last home game here.
That's Kylie Gablehausen. Coach Cindy Stein back shortly. It's Inside Saluki Women's Basketball. Again, questions are welcome for Coach Stein. We will get to those here shortly. We'll have her back here in a couple minutes. This is Inside Saluki Women's Basketball from Learfield. Any more questions in the crowd? We're good? Okay. Thank you. Welcome back to Inside Saluki Women's Basketball with Coach Cindy Stein. I'm Bryce Williams. SIU 19-9. They're 12-4 in the Missouri Valley Conference. The live taping here at the John Paul Cook Club. This program heard later on tonight, 6:30 to 7 o'clock on VZA. Kylie, she's really stepped up, played a lot better down the stretch. 4 out of her last 5 games, she scored in double figures. 62% of her shots this year are threes, 151 out of the 242 attempts. Eventually, as a junior and senior, would you like to see the game become a little bit more balanced for her?
Well, I think she's been starting that. I think that, a lot of teams are coming out and pressuring her. She's put down the ball and gotten to the basket a couple times. Her pull-up jumper's much better. She still has parts of that game, but she's such a good three-point shooter. She knows that when she has that opportunity to let it rip, to do so.
When you recruited her, did you see what she's done so far here? 56 out of 57 starts, the blocks, the scoring, the rebounding. Really, she's an all-around player.
Well, I remember the first time I watched her play, she shot a 3 within the first 10 seconds of the game. I think she dribbled the ball down and went off a screen and shot a 3, and I was like, I like that. So, she was such a great athlete that, I saw some leadership ability there, her ball handling, her shooting, and she's just has such a high basketball IQ. That was just something that, we wanted to definitely bring to here. So I think that we've seen her blossom even more. I know she's gotten better and better as she continues to get stronger. You're going to see, her probably her range go a little bit more. She'll be able to absorb a little bit more contact on drives. And I think that right now, we've got such great senior leaders that, she kind of lets them do the talking. She's probably a lot more outspoken than she probably lets off. You got to ask her a question first. That's one thing I learned. She's never going to come talk to you, but she does have that leadership ability as well. But she also kind of takes that in stride and wants to do. She's such a team-oriented person that she kind of lets the seniors do the talking for now.
Southern 19-9, several questions from the crowd. Roger Lipe has a pair. First, who are some of the people who have strongly influenced your coaching philosophy?
Well, it's interesting because I watched so much basketball when I was growing up. I mean, I watched all the, Duke basketball in North Carolina and Kansas and Illinois and I went to as many Bradley games as I could. So, you always watched all those coaches. You're talking about Joe Stoll, Dick Versace, some of the people that know the Valley. It was this Lou Henson. I watched a lot of those. And then obviously I had a really good Melinda Fisher, who is the softball coach at Illinois State, was my freshman coach in high school. And then she left for 2 years, and then we got a really good coach my senior year. So,
She wasn't a really good coach.
Who? Melinda was a great coach. But I learned a lot that year, and then my sophomore and junior year, I wouldn't say her name, but she was okay. But it was one of those things where she would come to practice with a Dean Smith book, and she'd open it up and tell us what our play was. She was reading directly from a book. So I actually went out and got that book because I'm like, I have no idea what she's saying, where we're supposed to be. So I just went out and got that book to figure it out, and so I could teach our team. So I should have known then I was going to be a coach. But but I've had some really good coaches that I played for, and then obviously, I read a lot of stuff, so I'm constantly reading different people. So I really like, Stevens. It's at with Celtics. That was at Butler, and I really liked Bill Self till he went to Kansas. I liked him when he was at Illinois. Everyone knows Pat Summitt, so. But obviously Pat Summitt and Jody Conrad, and there's some great coaches out there. Kim Mulkey, I love her fire. I call it, I love her piss and vinegar. She really gets out there and is fiery. So, you just watch people that you are obviously, whether you're scouting them or you're just watching games, you just kind of watch what they do and how they do things, and you try to mold it into something that you want to create.
Don't tell Coach Henson about the Coach Self quote, that's for sure. Does Diana have an advantage being left-handed? Roger's second question.
Maybe initially when someone first guards her, and I think they get used to it now. And honestly, she's as good right-handed as she is left-handed. So having to guard someone that can go, in both directions, I think is very difficult. So I think she does a great job at that.
Marcia Sinnott with a great question, and we talked about this some in the post game on Sunday. How do you help your players avoid or deal with the nerves of being expected to win?
I think that, what I've tried to get them to do, because some of them are very prideful, such as Diana Pierre, that I'm looking at right now, they won't admit that they're nervous. And that's the biggest part of getting over the nerves is you got to admit that you're nervous, and then you've got to get them focused on what they can control. And the mind's a beautiful thing, but it's the only thing you can control is your mind. So we really talk about all of those things, but getting them to admit that they're nervous or a little anxious, I think, is really important.
Jack Wisman, what's your late season assessment of the four-quarter game? Is it good for women's basketball?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure. I mean, I still go back to, I've coached a long time, so it's really hard for me to go, okay, now what quarter is this? How much time's left in the game?
When's our media time?
Yeah, we don't get media timeouts really anymore. So, it's okay. I just feel like it's the rule, so we have to adjust. So I don't give a lot of time whether I think it's good or not, because it really doesn't matter what I think.
Last question here. When can the refs go to the monitor and why? And my personal question, do you even know when they can go to the monitor?
I may not know the full answer to this. I don't think they ever go enough. And then when they do, it's way too long. I know that when they don't know who the ball's out on, they can go to that. There's certain guidelines within the last minute of a game, but I can't tell you what all of them are. I try to let them do their job, and as long as they're calling it even for both teams, I don't usually complain.
Okay, just a quick word on Northern Iowa and Drake. You beat Northern Iowa 65-60. You beat Drake 77-70. It was the first Valley games of the season. Weekly had 28 on Sunday of that Northern Iowa game. Wendell was 1 of 14 from Drake. Obviously, with Northern Iowa, you got to push them off of the 3, and with Drake, transition defense always key.
Well, they're both outstanding teams and extremely well coached. So I felt like we had the toughest start of the conference, and I feel like we have the toughest finish. And, honestly, it's like whoever wins this weekend, they deserve the conference championship, because that's how it goes. And we just know we got to play hard. And, you've got Northern Iowa, as much as, we need to keep them from shooting threes, it's like they're also attacking the basket better, and they're trying to put in 1 million screens. So, and there's always a counter to everything. So our kids just got to stay focused on the little things and not get caught up in all that other stuff that they can't control.
Play well this week, Coach.
All right, thank you.
That's Cindy Stein, SIU 19-9, 12-4 in Missouri Valley Conference play. Again, this show will air a little bit later on tonight at 6:30. We'll be on the air at 5:40 on Thursday night this week, not Friday. Thursday night this week, SIU and Northern Iowa, and then Senior Day at the Arena, SIU and Drake on Saturday at 2 o'clock. We'll be on the air at 1:40. For Coach Cindy Stein and Kylie Gablehausen, I'm Bryce Williams. Until Thursday, this was Saluki Basketball from Learfield.